Hello, and welcome to The Art of Pointy Things, a channel where I discuss my adventures in knitting, sewing, embroidery, and other similar crafts. I am Dusty, and today I am doing the 5th episode of my monthly knitting and creating podcast, detailing what I've been making in the past month since I saw you. These episodes are sort of coming out later and later in the month. I do want to try and go back to it being in the first week, but hopefully you don't mind the delay. I've not released any videos in the last month, full videos, but I have released a couple of shorts of me knitting. So could you please go watch them, and then if you like them, then please go and comment and like them so I know if you enjoyed them or not. So first things first, what am I wearing today? These are my knitted log cabin mitts. I have a video about making these which I'll put in the iCard up above. So if you're interested in what yarn I'm using, how I made them, things like that, you can go and see. I don't have a lot of interesting content this week, or what I feel is interesting. I've been mainly focusing on Christmas gift knitting, which I am mostly done on. And it's not too groundbreaking what I'm doing, I'm mostly just socks. But we'll get onto the socks later. What we'll start with is my first other finished item, which is still a Christmas gift, but it isn't as a sock. And it is the Thistle Cowl by Suzanne Strachan. So this is a brioche cowl pattern, and by nature it being brioche, it is also reversible. Ooh, pretty. This is knit in the Simply Soft yarn by Karen, which is a 100% acrylic yarn. This is a stash yarn that I had that I used to knit some toys for smaller family members a few years back that I thought I'd use up in this. So this is going to be a gift to somebody. I think they'll really like the colours and I really like the patterning. So it's brioche, and you'd actually see this in the last episode. This is the first brioche thing I've ever made. I saw brioche from one of the podcasts and I've been wanting to try it for ages. I finally sort of bit the bullet and tried it, and I absolutely love it. It's gorgeous. It creates a sort of squishy texture. Just the texture in general is really interesting. I love the sort of just the way it looks. I just absolutely love it so much. And there is a part of me that wants to keep it for myself, but they're not really my colours. I think the person I'm giving it to will like them more. So you've got these. I should note, I did say I follow the pattern. I did one less repeat of this section here and one less repeat of these triple, so there's meant to be one more of these to split. Basically I'm getting to the point where I'm seeing the particular family members who are getting the swan and some of the other stuff tomorrow, and I kind of wanted it to be ready by then. So I sort of skipped some of the repeats. It's still pretty tall, and as it is nylon it should grow in length, I think, a bit. Though it is, I have blocked it. I say I have blocked it, I don't know. It's still a bit damp, so I need to go finish drying it in a minute. But yeah, I absolutely love it. And I do want to do loads more brioche in the future. If you've never done brioche before, I do recommend this pattern, as long as you're not sort of beginning to knitting. It has some very clear instructions on each sort of stitch style. I don't think it has that much complicatedness in it, nothing that you couldn't handle if you didn't know what you were doing with knitting. So if you're interested in brioche and you're a bit of an experienced knitter, it's not written as a beginner pattern, at least I don't think it is, but I think that it definitely could be sort of a good first step into brioche. It's quite a small item, and it's quite good because it starts with the sort of simple, and then you add the more complicated splitting and then joining, and then at the end you've got these 3 splits. So it sort of does increase in complexity as you go through, which I think is really nice and why I think it's a good beginner friendly project. It's also, I think, written very well. It's also a free pattern, and yeah, experiment with colours and try brioche, and I fully recommend brioche. If it's one of those things that you've sort of been, if you've been thinking about doing it but you're a bit scared because it looks complex, it is not complex. I found it very easy, very logical to get my head around, so I fully recommend these. So And just as a note, all the things I mentioned should be in the description down below. If there is something I've mentioned that I haven't linked, then please send me a comment or something like that, and I will try and add it. So on to the next sort of finished items thing is the socks. All the socks. I say all the socks. It's 2 pairs of socks that I finished, and then 1 pair that I'm going to start soon. So long time watchers of the channel will recognise these socks. So these are the socks. I think I've already mentioned that they're for my brother. So the yarn for all of these is the same brand, same sort of group. It is the West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply, which is 75% wool, 25% nylon, and I think it's all British wool. And there's like a certain amount that's meant to be BFL as well. And for this one, the self-striping section is mallard, and the cuff, heel and toe are in juniper. These are for my brother. That's one set. These are blocked. I just need to finish trimming the ends now that it's these. This is dry. That still hasn't. This is dry. Then these are for another relative. These are. So my brother has quite big feet. You can probably tell that because this is a slightly more sensible size sock. These are for another family member. These are not blocked. You can tell just by the way they're sitting that they're not blocked. So this one, same yarn, but the colourway is blue tit for the body, and then juniper again for the cuff, heel and toe. And then I have 1 more pair to knit. I was hoping to have them cast on by this point, but I don't. I have a lot to do today and I only have a small period of time to record, so. And that is with these yarns. I want to show them to you because I'm probably not going to have these finished. I'll have to finish and give them away before I record the next episode, so there's no real way for me to show them to you. But it's going to be using this self-striping from, again, the same brand, and this is Robin. So you can see the colours of Robin there. And then this is Nutmeg, and this will be for the heels, cuffs and toes. That's that. So they're very simple socks. I went for quite a simple pattern. There's no ribbing, lacing, cabling, anything like that on these. I mean, there's ribbing in the cuff, but that's it. I went quite simple. The main reason being that because the self-striping yarn adds a lot of interest in itself, you don't need to have interesting pattern, I think, to show it off. The pattern I use is the Favourite Socks by Kristen from Villain Vine Yarns. It is a very, very good all-round sock pattern. Very well written. I highly recommend if you want to try starting knitting socks. That's the pattern I use for the first socks I knit. So I do recommend it. Yeah, so that's all I have for knitting content and even sort of finished items that literally, I've got the owly socks, I've got a few other things on needles, but I've made no progress in the last month because I've been frantically trying to finish all the socks and the cowl. I have technically done some sewing, but it's not really something I can show and it's not really that interesting, so yeah. So from here, I'm going to go on to yarn acquisitions. I have actually bought yarn in the last month. Basically, botanical yarn is a nature-inspired yarn dyer. And I follow on her Instagram and I absolutely love the stuff she does. And normally at the moment I can't really afford to buy it, which is sad. But then she occasionally puts up what I think she calls lonely skein bags, which is 300 grams of yarn, which are either sort of one-of-a-kinds or scrap ends from it's sort of just, it's, you know, not yarn that she'll put in the shop and you get them for a discount. And then she was having a sale that you got an extra discount on that as well. So it was like 300 grams of yarn. Yeah, sure. I love most of the colours she puts out. And this is the selection that I got. So I believe it is, this is all 4-ply, fingering weight, and it's 75% merino, 25% nylon, your standard sock blend. And yeah, I must admit I'm not the biggest fan of these colours, but they're still really nice and they're still sort of really nicely done, and I really do appreciate them. So you've got a pale pink with these greeny, yellowy speckles in it, which I think should come out quite nicely. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with focusing on the yarn. There you go. And then I suppose I go with the other pink next. It's a slightly more intense pink. I don't really, it's pink. I'm not very great on what shades of pink are. It's not my favourite colour, but at the same time it's still really pretty yarn. And then there's this brown, which actually I feel goes quite nicely with, excuse me, as I reach away. I feel that if I have some left over from the owly socks, I think it might go quite nicely with this if I wanted to do some either colour work or two-tone socks or something. I think that would be quite interesting. So I don't have anything planned for them. Sometimes it's nice just to buy yarn, buy soft, pretty yarn, just for the sake of buying soft, pretty yarn. There's nothing wrong with that. Right. I wish I had more to show you, but I don't. I suppose I can go over, I went fabric shopping. I also feel I should apologise. It's flour. I've been baking, so I have flour all over my clothes because I can't keep the flour in the bowl, especially when I'm kneading bread. Okay, so anyway, I said I did have a sewing project this month. I did have to go out and buy fabric for it, and whilst I was out buying fabric for it, I had a moment of weak wildness, which is when I saw this. This is a poly cotton. I think I have half a metre of it. I may even have a metre of it. But it's Christmas sheep. And I was like, well, I can't say no to Christmas sheep. How could I ever possibly say no to Christmas sheep? So the plan for this is to make a knitting bag, project bag. Yeah. Sorry, I just thought I heard something in the house, which is odd because I should be home alone. I may edit this part out. We shall see. Anyway, so, I mean, it's Christmas sheep. How could I say no to Christmas sheep for a knitting project bag? It's just the best. So, this episode is going to be short. I could probably waffle a bit if I wanted, but I don't really want to waffle. So we'll go on to the future projects. I said I have that yarn, but I don't really have anything really planned for it. What I have realised is, basically, the sewing project was making a dog bed because we recently acquired a puppy dog. And she is very cute and she's lovely and I love her so much. But I made dog bed covers, which is sort of why I can't show it, because A, don't fit under the camera, and B, like, it's just a rectangle with a zip in. It's like the simplest thing you could possibly make. I suppose the simplest thing would be the same sort of thing but without a zip, but you know, it's not like I feel the need to show it. So we have a dog, and as a result we're going outside in the winter a lot. Lots of winter walking. And I've discovered that none of my hats fit properly, or none of my hats fit how I like them. So I'm thinking of knitting a hat. And I've got this blue DK yarn in my stash. It's West Yorkshire Spinners Colour Lab 100% wool DK. The colour is True Blue. And I have this, and I wanted a hat out of it, and I'm not sure what hat. I've had a look through, I think it's the Pearl Soho website. They seem to have a lot of free hat patterns, and I think I quite like the look. One of their hat patterns, I've not made a note of which hat pattern it is, so I can't say, but one of the hat patterns, I think they're quite good for hats, especially like, I can probably find a nice DK weight one. And now I'm holding yarn and I'm squishing it, because what else do you do when you're holding yarn? Hopefully that will help keep my ears warm. It's also partly the reason why I am wearing, that's not concerning at all, why I'm wearing the mittens today. I don't know if you can tell, my hands are terribly dry at the moment because I can't use a dog lead with gloves on. So if I'm out walking the dog, I have to have no gloves on my hands so that I can hold the dog lead properly. I don't know if you've noticed the scar on my hand. If you have, then I'm sorry. From where the dog lead caught and rubbed and cut into my skin. We do have a proper dog lead. It's just, I think it was, I don't know, it was one of the things we were using, and I don't use it anymore because it sort of messed my hands a little bit, which isn't great. But it's why I'm wearing these. It's A, to hide the dry skin, and B, because my hands have been getting cold and suffering. So, hat for that. I'm going to continue holding and playing with this because I want something to do with my hands. I haven't actually got any knitting nearby. What I do, you just saw the outie socks, but I have to find the pattern out for that. I also, with the whole brioche thing, with my newfound love of brioche, and my newfound love of shawls, because there was the shawl I finished last month. I'm thinking of doing a brioche shawl. I think it was Bullenvine, who's a podcaster. She's also a yarn dyer, but she does podcasts. And she knit, I think earlier this year, she knit the Current Mood Shawl by Lee Ann Robinson of Knit Graffiti. It was either earlier this year or late last year. And it is beautiful, and it is brioche, and it's shawl, and it has some lace work in it as well. I think it's lace work. And in general, I really want to try that. That's the sort of thing I want, is sort of a brioche shawl that I can potentially use as a fade. Because a few months ago I showed you some Bird Street yarn that I have, which is again a sort of hand-dyed yarn. I sort of have almost a fade set of 3, 100 grams. And I think that a shawl, like a fade shawl, brioche shawl, would be really pretty with that. If you know any sort of other sort of brioche shawls that use colour work that could use 3 skeins, please leave them in the comments below, because I would love to know what you'd recommend. Because I haven't fully made up my mind, I'm sort of half there. But I need to finish the socks first, and then I shall get back to knitting things for myself, and being selfish with my knitting. What else is there? I think that's it. This is going to be a really short episode. I feel terrible. Oh well. So that's all the content I have for this month. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed yourself, then feel free to like, comment and subscribe, and maybe check out some of my other videos. I have started filming another natural yarn dyeing video, so there should be another video up in December. So, keep your eye out for that if you're interested in natural yarn dyeing. This one's going to be with red onion skins, so look forward to that. I also have an Instagram and Ravelry, though I honestly do not update them that frequently. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and any suggestions and tips with knitting, video making, anything like that will be very appreciated. I hope you have a lovely day.